Today I'll be showing you one of those underappreciated decks that were released over 40 years ago. And I think it's a polarizing deck. Some people love it, some people hate it, calling it the worst deck in their collection. Hey, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, I'm Jay, and this is Röhrig Tarot, where I bring you weekly deck reviews to inspire readings with the help of Dr. Courtney here, who is a little bit upset today because some of you think he's not a real cat. And the deck I'll be showing you today is Röhrig Tarot. Believe me, took a few takes for me to start pronouncing this name correctly, and probably still not getting it right. Carl was quite a famous illustrator. He worked on a lot of commercial projects, and this deck is supposed to be combining Jungian archetypes with a Thoth tarot structure to evoke deep emotions and being able to connect with the deck. Whether it works or not, you're about to find out. So, deck comes in this box, and if you're one of those people who actually do read descriptions before you buy something, I'm jealous because I didn't, and I didn't realize how big this deck is. This is my Radiant Tarot deck, and this is Röhrig Tarot. What I didn't realize that it's actually an oversized deck, and it's the first oversized deck in my collection. It comes with this very, I would say, basic box. It's got a waxy finish, but nothing there really talking about the being luxurious or anything like that. It's pretty standard cardboard. You've got some details. This is a fool's card. You'll see it in a second. That's Carl and some information about him and his life. Carl passed away a while back, but they're continuing to produce this. So this was released in 1992. And I believe there are a few editions of this deck. Now, there are also a lot of counterfeits version of this deck. I've seen at least a dozen made overseas, and they're on eBay. I thought I'll go ahead and buy the original one. And to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed with what I got, but I'll tell you why in a few moments. The artwork, well, beautiful and surreal. You will see so many different images here, and this is one of the decks that just kept me entertained, and I still don't regret my purchase, by the way. On the back, you've got this galactic pattern here, and you'll probably already realized one thing, that if you put the card upside down in reverse position, you can tell exactly that it is in reverse position. And because of that, deck can't be read in reverse because you will know exactly what you're pulling out. The cards have a border. It doesn't take you away from the meaning, the name of a card, and they also have a meaning of a card above the card and minor arcana, which can be a good or bad thing. I think it is a good thing for people like myself who didn't order the guidebook. But if you watch my channel, you know it happens quite a lot. And finally, the cardstock. Well, pretty thin, I would say. I was expecting that for a deck of this size, it will be slightly thicker. Let's compare this. So this is 0.27 millimeters thickness, right? And this is one of the cards from the Röhrig Tarot, and this is way thicker. So we're looking at cards that are much larger in size, right? And they're thinner than the smaller cards. So that's why you get this sort of not the best experience having these cards in your hands. And another thing to mention, that the deck I received is missing the Prince of Sword card. And you see all these little pieces of paper that I have here. This all came from a deck, just unpacking it and working with it here, which to me suggests that the production quality isn't that great, that I've seen. Even probably some counterfeit decks that I've seen don't have same issues. But I still don't regret buying this deck, and the reason is the artwork. The artwork here, that's what makes all of it matter. The shipping from Switzerland and waiting for almost a month. This deck has an element of surrealism and sort of Dali-like expressions in there, and the very modern feel, I would say. I haven't seen it in other decks that came out from the 90s. It uses collage style. Will pick in different elements here. Almost looks like a magazine cover, like this one here. But then there will be some writings here that suggest the name of a card, or the planetary symbols like this one here, or the Hebrew alphabet letters, which I think to me shows like how deep this deck is. And I think this is also probably the reason why this deck is quite misunderstood. Let me show you some of my favorite cards here. The Fool, as you can see, is a bit of a joker here on this side, and there's a wise man, and there's also a shark, so crocodile teeth here. It shows you the complexity of a Fool character and different directions the Fool can go, right? The danger and the whole journey captured here. This is probably a world card, but from perspective of the Fool. I quite like this. The Lover's card. This looks like a 90s magazine or a romantic movie cover from that era. It's almost like DiCaprio lying here with someone. Beautiful card. I like these little handwritings here. I didn't buy a book, but apparently the book has way more information about the story of the cards. Now, this card made me want to buy the deck. And I know it's probably weird for tarot deck to include a racing card, but I think it also shows this modernity of the card, the look of it that is coming from the 90s. I think this artwork is quite revolutionary. The tower here is very different, and it's probably because of the Thoth deck. It doesn't look like RWS, and this deck is based on Thoth structure. There's a lot of colors and symbolism, I think, that are very similar to that. But yeah, there's no lighting hitting the tower here, but you do see a bit of a chessboard pattern there, still indicating that something that's been built, the pillar, came to a ruin, which is our next card here. So this is a 10 of Swords. I like how the writing here doesn't obstruct you from reading, and you still see the swords. The way it's done, I think it's beautifully combining different elements here. And also it shows that isn't a ruin that you see on RWS version of this card. It's more of the thought process, communication, something more like on a logical level. This is the 10th of Cups, which normally has a rainbow. There's not RWS structure. Here is a completely different take. It's a bit of a nudity here, but it's not obvious, so it still looks like a painting or a photograph. Bit of a sketches here showing the cups. Really interesting touch how it's been done here. And I wonder if it's original Carl's notes. The satiety here, the CD, I guess in the 90s is represented a song or maybe success, because there's a bit of money here as well. And maybe that's also because of a rainbow in RWS. So on Thoth, again, I don't use Thoth. This probably doesn't belong there, but it's definitely a bit of a resemblance with that. And I do like aces here. They probably remind me of the Mary L. Tarot. It has some similar looking cards and patterns there. I quite like this card here. And finally, this would be my equivalent of 7 of Pentacles I will include from RWS, but I want to show you what this card, similar looking card, the 6 of Pentacles here, looks like. So this is Minor Arcana, the Pentacles here, the discs, and the discs look like, I want to say, pool balls almost. And interesting, I was thinking that you have a name written here, but you also have success repeated here, but it doesn't seem to be too repetitive. I quite like this deck. From artistic perspective, this is probably one of the best decks that I have seen. Let me show you the Suit of Cups so you'll get an idea what that looks like. This, if you're not familiar with Thoth, the progression, the prince is a knight and the knight is a king. And I believe this is based on the Golden Dawn system, the Liberty, how it's described. It gets a little bit confusing, but nevertheless, looking at this, there's a progression. The princess here jumps into the water of emotions. And there's a bit of a writing here, quite a nice card. It looks almost like a peacock. Now the Prince of Cups, I think he's not ready to face the emotions yet. Also, there's a lot of nudity happening here. Again, that's kind of interesting. Definitely PG rated deck. The Queen is looking in the emotions. She's no longer avoiding them. She's right there, or at least not exploring them probably. She's looking right into that. And the Knight seemed like a more hardened character. So definitely progression here. I quite like different combinations of colors. It's definitely the blue, watery color is present, maybe less for this one, but definitely in this and this one. So now we're going to do shuffle and reading. And you're probably asking yourself, so how about shuffling, Jay? Well, I asked Dr. Kortnik and he thinks it's going to be meowsing. But seriously though, how do you shuffle oversized cards? Someone suggested to me that you can do it using the other direction, because there's no way I can stretch my fingers that high. Or we can just do the old school way, we fan them out and pull one card and figure out what's happening there. I just want to reflect on the upcoming week, see what that's going to look like. So I'm going to get one of his cards. And because someone here chipped out on the guidebook, we're going to be using intuitive reading. And oh my God, I've got the card I really wanted to get, and quite happy about that. Let me get my special devices that will help me with reading here. And I still can't read this. Maybe it's me, maybe it's Carl's writing. But let's take a look at it anyway. So we've got Cancer sign here. It's helpful because it's also my zodiac sign. And what this represents here is someone who is in control of this really high-speed traveling vehicle. Just notice Cancer mentioned here a couple of times. Well, Cancer represents here a hard shell with a soft tissue inside, which in this situation shows that we need to be flexible and using hardened surfaces to control our emotions, using this analogy. And that's probably going to be the theme of the week. Now, it's interesting because this card reminds me of the Strength card more than the traditional Chariot card, when you take the charge and use our will to pick a direction. Where here it sort of mixes it a little bit just because of a helmet in the car. But nevertheless, this is a modern take on the Chariot card, mixed together with some of esoteric symbolism, is telling me that it isn't just about it's racing this car. It's also about making the right decision and protecting yourself while you're doing it. So difference here with, let's say, RWS, I think, is using the hard shell, in this case is a helmet in the car, to take charge, but also protecting yourself, your emotional side, while taking action. What do you think of his read? And in your experience, do you find Thoth very different from reading with RWS? Let me know in the comments. I think this is a collector item, and it's also a very niche product. While I think it aged quite well, I think it's a little bit too modern for the 90s era, even for current era, because I can see how tarot moving back to its traditional roots in a lot of ways. We are refining archetypes from Rider-Waite-Smith, but I haven't seen the deck that really pushes it further. Maybe the Unveiled Tarot, but not in the same way. Now, with all of this, I love the artwork. I think this makes all of this worth it. Though on the downside, I don't really work with large size decks. They're quite difficult to manage in your hands, and riffle shuffling, which I do enjoy doing it, would also not be possible with this. I also think the execution is poor. I think whatever the original deck looks like, the modern one needs an uplift. The thin cards, the missing card, and they gave me an extra one. All these little pieces of paper was left inside. I think it's probably one of the reasons why people are a little bit turned off by using it. And this is it for today. Don't forget to subscribe, enjoy your flip through, and Dr. Kortnik and I are going to go for a long-awaited walk.